Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. So this is my extended video where I go in depth into a certain subject and do your sun and or ascendant signs as well. So in this video I'm going to discuss the full moon eclipse in Taurus. So that's actually the next eclipse that's going to be coming up for us. And this is actually going to be on the 19th of November 2021 at 12:57 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now what's interesting to me about this eclipse is that it really kicks off the beginning of the north nodes going into Taurus, which officially will be in January 2022, where the north node will be in Taurus and the south node will be in Scorpio. And I've done a whole video on that particular thing, the north nodes in Taurus, which lasts about 1.5 years. I've gone into that in depth in another video, which I will give you the link here below. So this is just really focusing on this initial initial foray into this whole new area where the north nodes are going to go. And of course the north nodes the transiting north nodes refer to our collective destiny. And of course if you have your own north nodes at Taurus, this is your nodal return, which happens approximately every 18 or 19 years. So you can look back to that time period if you're old enough and see what kind of themes may have been happening at that time. Those themes may be coming up again for 1.5 years, starting in January 2022. But we can have discussions about this in the comments, and that's always a lot of fun. Okay, so the actual eclipse is at 27 degrees of Taurus. So that's towards the end of Taurus, there's 30 degrees in every sign. And so this says that the north nodes of the moon are going to start off very close to that. So the north nodes of the moon travel differently than the planets. The north nodes of the moon always go backwards. So they start at 29 degrees and go back to 1 degree. So this being at 27 degrees, we know that fairly soon on in 2022, we're going to have an actual conjunction with this eclipse by the north nodes. And of course that will be very important too. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So the ruler of the eclipse is Venus, and it is at 12 degrees of Capricorn at the moment. And Venus is more practical in Capricorn and a little conservative, but it does trine Taurus, the sign it rules. And I would say the basic meaning with regards to Venus in this the part she's playing in this full moon eclipse is one of surprises. I would say pleasant surprises, because Venus, the ruler of Taurus, will be trining Uranus exactly. And so this is unexpected changes. And I would say, like I said, trines are always favorable energy. So whatever happens either in your love life, in your money, or in your value system, it will be a benefit to you. And of course Venus is the lesser benefit. The higher benefit, of course, is Jupiter. So I would say this is a favorable thing to have the ruler of this eclipse, Venus, trining Uranus, planet of unexpected things. So you want to also take a look at where this Venus in Capricorn is in your chart. That's at 12 degrees. And then of course where Uranus is, because those houses will also be affected to some degree in this particular eclipse. But we just put a few words around this Taurus Scorpio axis, because that's what this is. It's a full moon, so that means that the moon is going to be in Taurus, but the sun is in the opposite sign, of course, and that is Scorpio. So it's one of generation of things, that's the Taurus side, and then versus regeneration. And the regeneration, of course, refers to Scorpio, and in particular its ruler, its modern ruler, which is Pluto. The moon can indicate fluctuations. It is exalted in Taurus as well. So even though this is a full moon eclipse, typically saying that there's going to be some endings or culmination, you've got some favorable energy in here that's going to be boosting things for you. So it could be that something comes up this full moon eclipse that ends for you, and you turn around and there's some positive things, especially with regards to money, love, and values. Yeah. Now, Taurus and Scorpio are basically money signs. Taurus talks to individual collection of money, your private property, for example, real estate, where Scorpio really refers to collective property. An example of that would be taxes, investments, inheritances, and the stock market. So we can expect that some element of these things will also be playing into this full moon eclipse, especially where the moon is, which is Taurus. So this is our individual collective collection of money or values or valuable goods, right? Like our property, for instance, may come in under the focus here of this full moon individually. Now Mercury, for this eclipse, actually conjuncts the sun and opposes the moon. So we know that there will be some element of exchange of information, for sure. Now it is conjuncting the sun, which is in Scorpio, so this says that the Mercury is actually in Scorpio. And I would say that this may be some uncovering of secrets, maybe some really big secrets too, because we also have Pluto trining the moon and sextiling the sun. So this will give some opportunities to transform something that may have been hidden or at least kept in the edges of society, that type of thing. But there's not only are these things going to be brought up to the surface and revealed, and it might be a pretty emotional time, by the way, with this whole Mercury opposite the moon and then Pluto trining the moon, sextiling the sun. These are positive things too, but these are powerful planets when we're talking about Pluto. And then when we're talking about the sign it rules, which is Scorpio, where both the sun and the Mercury is. So I would say these are probably powerful words that will be coming out, but powerful transformational words. And of course this can be applied to us individually too. But there's going to be a big opportunity to transform things. And at its base, we're talking about our money systems and our property, that type of thing, our investments, inheritances. Yeah. Now, we also have at this time, we have Mars in Scorpio, but it will be opposite Uranus. So this now adds in another element where there may be conflict over resources. But Uranus is retrograde here, trines Venus. So the news regarding money can actually be briefly more beneficial at this time. I would say, looking at the sort of both sides of what's going on, some aggressive stuff, but some also very nice energy, especially with this whole Venus, the ruler of the eclipse, I would say there's some real opportunities to make some money here. That's what I was thinking. Or unexpected ways of making money. Now it could be also the new ushering in of the way we're going to be dealing with our money. Bitcoin, that type of thing, may take a stronger hold. But with that whole Pluto involved here, there may be some resistance, but then resistance will lead to acceptance. That's what I really feel, where that Pluto representing, the old guard in terms of the banking systems and that, will find a way of working with what's out there and bringing in some energy for itself to benefit from this. And that's kind of what I get with the whole picture of Mars opposing Uranus. So there's going to be unexpected things too. Now it could be that this is a separate thing as well, that Mars and Scorpio opposing Uranus does actually bring in conflict over resources, and that there may be some aggressive takeovers, that type of thing. Or even aggression in terms of warlike activity, where one country is trying to take over another country because it wants its resources. Mostly what wants its resources in terms of money and, of course, property. That Mars also opposing Uranus could bring individually some accidents as well. And I always hesitate saying that because I don't want to set you up to have an expectation of it. But certainly if you are out driving around and you're exceeding the speed limit or just doing some dangerous things, this is a setup of potentially having some kind of accident around this time. I thought it was interesting too that this full moon was in Taurus was also a time when Buddha was reported to have died. He died at a full moon in Taurus. And so I think this adds a layer of really asking us to engage in detachment. I know that's sort of conflicting words there, but so it's asking us really to let go of things in order for things to manifest. So Taurus is all about manifesting too, right? And as being a full moon, it's saying there's going to be some culmination here. So with all these pretty powerful energies around, there's going to probably be a desire to hold on to our stuff. But really what's coming in here is asking us to believe and to detach, because that detachment will bring us manifestation. Manifestation is represented by the full moon in Taurus, of course. So the north nodes of the moon in Taurus will conjunct this exact degree point, which is 27 degrees of Taurus, on the 15th and 16th of February 2022. So you can mark that also, probably just the month of February 2022. If you have individually have some things happen to you in, say, November or even December as a result of this eclipse, there may be some echo that comes up again with regards to now it pointing you to a different direction. With regards to probably your value system, love for sure, and maybe money too. Maybe all three of these things will be up for a new change of course, a new setting of the compass in a new direction. We're also going to have a new moon eclipse at 10 degrees of Taurus on the 30th of April 22. Uranus will be at 14 degrees of Taurus. So this also speaks to, it's a 4-degree orb there. So that eclipse will also bring, so now we're looking at the end of April, so probably really more like May. There's going to be some more shake-ups. May even bring in some shake-ups of the Earth itself too. It's a new moon, so it's a new start. But as with all eclipses, they're wild cards. It's just because it's a new moon doesn't mean you might be letting go of some things. But it's a trigger with regards to Uranus being involved in this eclipse. So I'm just giving you the heads up on a few things that will be coming in 2022. Now we're also going to have a Mercury retrograde in Taurus and partially in Gemini too. It will go direct at 26 degrees of Taurus. So now we're tying this in again with the 27-degree Taurus full moon eclipse, which is what this video is all about. So this again will bring something in that may have us having to look over all things Taurian. So it could be looking over our money, looking over maybe a new love that we started in our life. It could have us looking very carefully at our value system. Or just looking at our own private property and deciding maybe what you need to maybe let go of, and what you maybe need to increase, what you need to put in there that needs addressing. But this whole Mercury retrograde is very close to that November 2021 eclipse, which I'm talking about. So I would say it's just going to be reigniting whatever effects happened to you in November, December 2021. And this particular retrograde going direct will be at the 3rd of June 2022. There's also going to be another trigger point with a full moon total eclipse at 25 degrees of Scorpio on the 16th of May 2022. So another time where there's going to be a trigger. Now what's interesting at this particular total eclipse, and this is in Scorpio, it will be at the same time Jupiter will ingress into Aries, which of course is a new start. So I see probably May, June time will be a more clearly spelt out time with regards to where we're supposed to be moving forward to with regards to that whole north nodes in Taurus, and what we're supposed to be letting go of, which is of course the south nodes in Scorpio. So mark that as well, just the month of May with regards to the actual abilities to move forward, with Jupiter giving a lot of movement forward with it going into Aries. I would mark that time period. Now this eclipse also trines, which is a Scorpio, trines Neptune. And so this could ignite some very deep feelings. That's the impression I'm getting here, is that it's a full moon in Scorpio, so we're already talking about things that are running deep and emotional and potentially sexual too. But when you take that energy and trine with Neptune, it kind of gives that at the highest level of spirituality. So this is a time period where we could have great spirituality come into our lives individually as well as collectively. It can also bring in things with regards to Neptune, which of course is the sea in its own self, but it can also talk to oil and that type of thing. So it could be that some kind of maybe big increase in oil that occurred 2021 into some of 2022 is sort of stymied, that it actually stops. And we get this full stop where things are stopping from moving forward to cost maybe even more. It may also say that we're starting to clean up our waters or our oceans, that type of thing, where there's a true movement forward to assist with that. And with Scorpio, this could be, maybe even organizations or people in great power with lots of money decide collectively to clean our oceans up and to actually take action with regards to that whole Jupiter going into Aries. Now when we look at both Taurus and Scorpio, we also see the word sex comes out as well. But they differentiate here. With Taurus, we're talking about the physical manifestation of sex, whereas with Scorpio, it's the experience of the depths and the heights of emotion, and it's the search for transcendence. So this is the difference between the attraction to sex from the Taurus standpoint and the Scorpio. Well, speaking of sex and speaking of money, I thought that I would bring up a client of mine who is just brilliant. Shiv Patel has got her own YouTube channel called Financially Fit Girl, making saving money sexy for women. I'm going to put the link to her site below. I think you'll really find a lot of the tips that she gives to be very useful and practical, and I really encourage her to keep going, and I think she's just a bright spark out there that can help so many people. All right, so we're going to go next into looking at your individual sun sign or ascendant. But before we do that, I just wanted to just very briefly explain why or what we're talking about when we say sun sign as opposed to ascendant. So I'm going to start off with when you read something that says this is for your sun sign, what does that mean? What it means is, and I'm taking the sun sign of Scorpio as an example, it means that essentially we have the sun in Scorpio, and that we take that point where the sun is in Scorpio as the start of the house system. We put that as the ascendant, okay? And so that's what we're talking about. So what it does basically is it just puts the houses differently when we start at the position where the sun is, okay? Now, I use the Placidus system, which does not use a whole house sign, which is 30 degrees for each house. So it will be slightly different. If you do use whole house, it's 30 degrees per each house. Now, so the first house then becomes Scorpio. If we use the sun sign, Scorpio, so we could use your sun sign, say Sagittarius. Sagittarius. So that means the first house will be Sagittarius. Now, a more accurate way of doing it, in view of most astrologers, would be, instead of putting the sun as the start of the chart, to actually put the ascendant as the start of the chart. And let's just say in this case that the ascendant for this person is Taurus. Now, what it's talking about is this, that when that person was born, the exact moment that person was born, the sign Taurus was rising in the east. So this represents, in terms of a direction, this represents the east, right? And then we go counterclockwise when we put the 12 houses together. So in this case, we're going to be more accurately dividing up the sky from the Earth standpoint when we were born more accurately, right? Because we always start the chart off from the east and the ascendant. And so that takes us around this way. So if we start our actual ascendant as the first house, so you can see that it's a lot different when you go around in terms of the houses, right? We're talking about the same person here, and this is the sun here in Scorpio. We now have the sun in the 7th house as opposed to what it was before. When we use the sun as the start of the chart, it was the first house. So you can see the basic idea is that depending whether you use your sun sign or the ascendant, you're looking at different areas of your life. Now, because the sun is one of the most important luminaries in your chart, as far as I'm concerned, it is important to look at both, right? So you start off with your ascendant, and in this case we're saying it's Taurus. You read for that. That tells you the area of your life. And then you go to wherever your sun is, and you can look at what other things it may be influencing with regards to the house that the ascendant picked up. Okay? So in this case, we know that if we've got a Taurus rising here, and we know that the full moon is in Taurus, so we know the moon is going to be here. So this particular person who has a rising sign of Taurus will have this full moon eclipse with the moon, only the moon, in the first house. Pretty significant. But it will have the sun in the 7th house, right? And that's the other. Any kind of partnerships that you may have. All right, this isn't supposed to be a full astrology lesson, but I thought I'd just point that out. That may actually help some folks better understand what it means when people say that. And the other thing too, of course, if you use what are called whole house systems or equal house systems, each of these houses are 30 degrees. Like I said, there's other systems that you can use. I use Placidus, where these houses are divided up differently, not by 30 degrees. Okay, hopefully that helps you a bit. If it doesn't, leave a comment and I'd be very happy to help you. Oh, and I'll leave the link to the lovely woman in Australia that actually produces these beautiful pieces of art, I think, and help make astrology teaching a lot more fun, I think. Okay, that's that. Let's move to the actual sun signs. Okay, so we're going to start off with Taurus, because Taurus, this is an eclipse in yours, your very first eclipse in this sign. So for Taurus, this is your first house. And we also must remember that we have Uranus retrograde at this time of this eclipse at 12 degrees. And we also have Pluto at 24 degrees of Capricorn, which of course is forming a trine to your lovely moon and a sextile to the Scorpio sun. So I would say this is bringing in an element of big transformation for you. And now Uranus is retrograde at this time, but it'll still be exerting powerful effects. I would say that whatever you are asked to transform at this time, you will probably get assistance, powerful assistance to do it. So don't be resistant if you know something needs to change and you just have not been doing it yet, you may unexpectedly get somebody, maybe someone in a position of power, maybe someone that actually has money to help you at this time. So be open to that. Taurus can sometimes be resistant to change. So with Uranus, which is the planet of change, there's going to be sort of a push and pull here, I think, at this eclipse for Taurians. And I would say, like I said, at the best is to let go and let the transformation begin and start manifesting things for yourself, because there's a great possibility once that whole North Node in Taurus starts moving forward in January for 1.5 years, that you could have great success. And certainly manifestation is big for you once we have the nodes going into Taurus, your sign. I also wanted to mention here too that Taurus can bring stability, and it also, enjoys the physical world. So there's those elements that are being brought in the physical world, as well as some stability. Just on its own. Of course, Taurus will also have Uranus there, but Uranus will be quite a few degrees away, almost just over 10 degrees. And Taurus also symbolizes the vessel for manifestation of energy. And I got a lot of this information from Robert Hand's book, Horoscope Symbols, and I will put the link to that if you wanted to get his book. It's really very, very useful. It helps me when I'm maybe a little bit, I've got a little bit of a conundrum, and he helps me work through what I think this particular, say, transit might be. So these are things that will be brought into the whole eclipse with the moon there. That manifestation is certainly very possible at this time, and especially for Taurians. So good luck, Taurus. Gemini is your 12th house. And of course, at this time in November 2021, the North Node is at the final degree, the 1 degree of your sign, Gemini. So I think being the 12th house, you are basically going to be unearthing a lot of things, and it could be unearthing secrets. This is also the house of hidden enemies, and so it could be that something comes out with regards to that. But you could start accumulating, for some reason, goods. You've just gone through yourself having the North Nodes in your sign with just that 1 degree left before it heads into Taurus. And so I would say that this could be a pivot point for you where new things, new people, new places have all sort of been like a chessboard put into place for you to have a checkmate situation and win the game. And with the 12th house, it's just kind of saying that last little bit may be involving some internal review that you need to let go of some things that maybe aren't good for you. And more than likely, this would be things like maybe habits, could be people as well. But this is asking you to let go of something that's inside you that maybe is not so good for you at this time. I would say also that with Taurus here in the 12th house, your 12th house, it could also bring some beautiful things into your life that are more of the spiritual realm, where you could tap into and maybe manifest. This we're talking about more alchemy and that type of thing. When we look at Cancer, it's your 11th house. And of course, 11th house is friends, groups. It's also your hopes and wishes. Now, we have Venus right now in Capricorn at this eclipse, and it's going to be opposite your sign of Cancer. Pluto will be opposite too at 24 degrees of Capricorn. So this also brings, I would say, some major transformation with regards to maybe your hopes and wishes, helping you transform your life. And in particular, this may be the friends that are in your life or the groups that you belong to may change. And but whatever it is, this Pluto being involved here in opposition, it could be your partner aids you with this transformation. of your 11th house. This partner can also make some of your hopes, dreams, and wishes come true. Again, going back to the whole idea of Taurus, which is manifestation, it's also the master builder. It's the vessel that we actually use to manifest the energy, right? Good luck, Cancer. Oh, I also wanted to talk about Cancer before I leave you. The Venus retrograde is going to be in December. And, you know, this will be sextiling your sign, but it will be conjuncting that whole Pluto, right? So that Venus retrograde in December 2021 will conjunct Pluto and oppose your sign. So there could be some powerful person that comes back into your life, or a powerful situation that really transforms your love life, probably. Secondly, your value system. And thirdly, your money. Now, all three of those could happen too with Pluto here. Anyway, I did do a video on Venus retrograde as well. I'll put the link in here. I did mix it with the Mercury retrogrades in 2021, but the Venus retrograde is in that video too. Okay, so now we're going to go on to Leo. Leo is your 10th house of career. And this forms a square from Mars, as well as Mercury, which are also in Scorpio. So there could be some challenges at work, I would say. And being in your 10th house, just the moon itself, I would say that you may have some powerful people come your way that aid you with some transformation, but the squares from Mars and Mercury in Scorpio, I could say that there may be forces that are trying to work against you, that want to stop this from happening. So this may mean you'll have to be a little more creative and perhaps lean on those people in power to help you when you have these challenging situations. And don't hesitate to go to people in power when and if you need to, Leo. I would say that's important. But we're now talking about you manifesting, the beginning of the manifestation of a new career. Letting go of an old way of doing something in a career and a new way. Probably more going to jumpstart for a longer period of time once those north nodes go into your 10th house of career, starting in January 2022. For Virgo, it's your 9th house. Now, Virgo, you mustn't forget that we have at this time Neptune is going to go direct on the 1st of December, so that's just after this eclipse. So I would say that although Neptune is going to be retrograde and it'll be opposite your sign, Virgo, at 20 degrees, if you've got anything at 20 degrees of either Pisces or 20 degrees of Virgo, there could be some interesting things going on here with regards to either getting into dealing more with people that are from foreign lands, dealing with foreign lands, foreign people. You could go to a foreign land. This could happen as well, if that's something that you've wanted to manifest for a while. And that sojourn could happen with regards to the north nodes going in to your 9th house for 1.5 years for January 2022. So if that's something that's on your list, you may have opportunities to do that. And they may come out of the ethers. That's Neptune too, right? Neptune also refers to the actual water that's around us, or water in particular. It's sort of very emotional. It likes to connect with source, that type of thing, the universe, right? So I would say with Neptune going direct opposite your sign in December, beginning of December, it's very close to this eclipse. And it's, to me, is saying that something that may have been shrouded, that may have been unclear, there may have been some fogginess around something, or you're just not able to pinpoint something. I would say that that's all going to be clearing up for you, so be confident that that's going to clear up for you probably around this eclipse. Now the other thing is too, you may start, depending what your proclivities are, you may publish some interesting work at this time. You may also go back to school and go for higher education. But you may just start a new path with regards to, seeking higher levels of thinking. Right? What legacy do I want to leave? That sort of thing could be brought to the surface for you, where you decide you need to do something different here. All right, for Libra, it is your 8th house. And the 8th house basically deals with all things Scorpio. And that would be, inheritances. It can be all your joint resources. So this could be your investments, the savings, joint accounts that you have with other people. It's also our psychological selves. So it could be at this time that you start some therapy of some sort, psychological therapy that you find very useful. But it could also be a time when you just put into action some kind of plan that helps you utilize and make better use of your investments. So it's certainly a time to be looking at your investments, whatever your investments are at this time. Now this is a full moon eclipse, so it could be that some investment ends for some reason or culminates, and you maybe have got to turn it over and put it into something different. Maybe you're retiring and you decide to pull all your 401ks into IRAs, and that this is the time period when you decide to do that and make more money long term. Yeah. So Scorpio, of course Scorpio, this is where the sun is in this eclipse. Full moon eclipse that's happening in Taurus. Because it's a full moon, we've got the sun in the opposite sign, which of course is your sign of Scorpio. But this is the 7th house, and you've got a few other things going on as well. You've got Mercury here in the 7th house, you've got Mars here, and then in the opposite sign you have Uranus at 12 degrees, but it's retrograde. So this to me says lots of unexpected activity surrounding your 7th house. Well, what's the 7th house? I mean, typically we talk about the 7th house as the house of marriage, but it is partnerships, and it's also clients. So this could have, again, depending what your situation is, could have some unexpected activity, including a lot of discussion and maybe debating and talking with regards to investments that you have with clients or partnerships of any sort, business partnerships, marriage partnerships, where there's a lot of discussion that goes on. Maybe some of it will go on behind the scenes too. Maybe there are some secrets that may come out with Scorpio involved here, and Mercury, as well as Mars. Things may bubble up to the surface. That's kind of the visual I'm getting for you, is things bubbling up to the surface. And certainly if you have anything at 12 degrees of, say, Scorpio, and it's opposing that Uranus, these are going to maybe unexpected shocks that may happen to you. So be prepared in advance. That's why I make these videos, so that you can think through some of these areas of your life. But certainly partnerships of some sort of clients are going to bring in, I would say, some needed changes for you with regards to how you're doing partnerships right now. Or your client base. Maybe your client base needs to be shaken up. Maybe you need to have different types of clients. Well, certainly the clients that would be involved in a Scorpio type realm activated by the Mercury and Mars would be people who have money. So maybe on a very surface level you need to be looking at bringing more money in from clients. Right. Good luck, Scorpio. All right, so when we go down to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is your 6th house, and the 6th house is the 6th house of health, generally speaking. It's also our day-to-day work and habits. What do we do day-to-day? And if you are retired, this is just what do you do day-to-day is what we're talking about. If you don't have an actual physical job you go to anymore. Now Mercury and the south nodes of the moon are getting very close to 1 degree of Sagittarius at this time. And I would say in particular we're talking about here the south nodes of the moon in the last degree, the final degree of where the south nodes are in your chart, and that's the 6th house. So you've been, for the past 1.5 years, letting go of things that maybe were not good for your health, changing up some things maybe in either your habits or your day-to-day job, making things easier for yourself, looking to the future with regards to how do I want my sixth house to look? And maybe communicating with folks, saying, I'm not enjoying this, or I'm changing the way I eat. I'm going to start this new exercise program. Thinking about it, and talking about it, and then doing it. So this is your sixth house. This is whatever major changes you let go of, or changes you made and let go of with the whole South Node in Sagittarius, your sign. Now comes up this new ushering in of energy. Now it's manifestation when we're talking about Taurus, right? So you may be, say you took up a new exercise program. You may now be getting to see the efforts that you put forward in a physical way. Your body's in great shape, your heart's in better shape, you feel better. Okay. So we look at Capricorn, we're looking at your fifth house. And you also have Venus that's in your sign, and of course Pluto is still there at 24 degrees. But the important part for you to remember is that we've got this Venus retrograde coming up, right? At 26 degrees Capricorn on the 19th of December, 2021. And it'll trine the Moon and Pluto which is at 25 degrees. So it does trine the Moon and sextile the Sun at this eclipse that this whole video is about. But this is important for you because the Venus retrograde's in your sign. And so, and also for the opposite sign, which is Cancer. But you have a direct hit here. So I would say it could be a number of things, Capricorn. You could actually have money come back to you that's of use, because we've got Pluto involved with a conjunction at this retrograde. But it could be a very powerful transformational love happens at this time. Now typically when we look at a retrograde Venus, we're talking about a love coming back into your life. It could also, though, be some important friendship that you lost touch with that comes back and provides some transformational energy for you. It could be, though, when we're looking at the fifth house too, from the effect of the actual eclipse, the fifth house is children, so perhaps some child is going to be coming into your life of importance. It can be a creative project, and of course a full moon means culmination. So perhaps you're tying up at this eclipse some very important creative project. It can also be a time too where, especially mixed in with the Venus retrograde, where you shock everybody and make the decision to go for the love of your life, and you just do it, and it totally transforms who you are, what you are, and your love life. But equally this could happen in the money sector of your life as well as your value system. So those, all three could be affected, by the way. But you could also have them happen individually. I feel strongly that because Venus is with Pluto, that this refers to one of two things. It refers to a very deep, very transformational, fated love that comes back to you, and or big money comes your way and powerful people come your way to assist you, perhaps from your past. So that's exciting, Capricorn. You know, you still got Pluto in your sign for a few more years, helping you transform. Roll with the punches is all I can say, right? I mean, when we look at a full moon, we're always looking at intensified awareness and a focus on culmination or endings. Okay, Aquarius is next. So Aquarius is your fourth house. And the fourth house, you also have Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius at this time. I would say these two are forward vision, but also security, and even perhaps rewards with both Jupiter and Saturn in your sign. So when we look at the fourth house, though, we're talking about your home. So I would say that with this eclipse, it could be that you manifest your home, that the culmination is this maybe final signing of the deal to buy a home. It could be the other way too. or you finally sell your home. That could be something that happens as well, right? I mean, Taurus, as I mentioned before, is real estate or our private property. But other things that are in the fourth house that is referred to is, of course, our mother. Perhaps your mother will be of some importance for some reason for you. And it's our habits. Maybe this is a time when you decide to change your habits for the better. Maybe it's also that you get involved in maybe some kind of activity in the home, like say a feng shui type thing, or even shamanism, where you start really putting focus in manifesting things for yourself. That could also be it. Maybe something you want to manifest is a home, and maybe that's exactly what happens for you. It could be that culmination too, though. You may also have, with the North Nodes going in your fourth house for a year and a half, starting in January 2022, that you manifest a home during the journey of those North Nodes in Taurus in your fourth house. That could happen too. But it could manifest something for you with regards to a home. Yeah. Good luck, Aquarius. When we look at Pisces, this is your third house. And third house is communications, it's your neighborhood, it's your siblings. So all these things may become more important for you. Now, I would say you in particular, because Neptune rules your sign and it is in your sign of Pisces, when it goes direct to the 1st of December, I would say the fog is going to lift for you. So if at this time of watching this video, remember that. If you're really sort of sitting on the fence with regards to some things, with regards to your neighborhood or your siblings, or some way of communications that are coming in, just know that things should get a lot better at this eclipse. It should turn things around for you, where things that were unclear become much clearer. And because the third house is essentially the house of communications, we're talking about communications. So what can you do now if you're listening to this, say, in June 2021, which is when I'm making this video? I would say that take action to manifest the very best communications that you can. What does that mean? Double check all the things that you're thinking, that you're saying, that you're writing down, that you're presenting. Just do that as a course of action in everything that you do with regards to communications. Before sending off that important email, go over the email a few times to make sure your wording is correct and that you're sending it to the right person or persons. That I felt kind of strongly around this. And by doing that, that just aids you with working with that whole Neptune retrograde in your sign until December 2021 when it goes direct. But know that there is, I get this feeling of light at the end of the tunnel for you that's marked by this eclipse in your third house, where everything will become crystal clear. Gather your facts, double check everything, get more than one opinion on things, and be open to, I suppose at the deepest level, expressing yourself from a spiritual standpoint. I mean, this whole thing of Neptune in Pisces can also represent a guru type thing. So if you are certainly grooming yourself for something like that, know that probably this eclipse could put you in the limelight of some sort. So make sure you're worthy of that, Pisces. Okay. Lastly, we're going to stop with Aries. And Aries, this is your second house that we're talking about. And the second house refers to the money that you earn, it's your values, that type of thing, goods that you collect. If we look at what house does Taurus actually rule, it is the second house, right? So I would say that this may be a time where you decide to get rid of some of the things in your life, that you downgrade, you offload things that maybe aren't really important for you, that aren't valuable to you. And that's the important keyword here is you. These aren't valuable to you. That perhaps you decide to pass on a lot of your goods to other people so that they can manifest those things in their lives through you. I get that kind of strongly with this. It can also mean the end of a job, a day-to-day job that you're doing, or like a career type thing. Career is the 10th house, but this is more like where you earn your money. So wherever you earn your money is going to certainly be up for a big change. And it may be that you let go of whatever you're doing to make money and make a decision to look at something completely different at this time. It's also your value system, so maybe you'll get a wake-up call at this eclipse in November where you realize you're not valuing yourself enough, or maybe that other people aren't valuing you enough. And maybe this will result in you negotiating for a better salary. That could also be up here too, right? But Taurus is all about manifesting, and so it's for you to decide how you want to manifest your money. And maybe too, this will provide a new path for you with the North Nodes going in Taurus in your second house, where you review for a year and a half or try out other things with regards to manifesting money in your life that are different from where you're at before this eclipse in November 2021. So good luck with that, Aries. Take care of yourself. I'm just going to finish up here with the fact that, to remind you that Taurus, which is where the eclipse moon is, rules the throat. And it's one of the reasons why we talk about singing, more so than necessarily speaking, but singing is very much associated with Taurus. But certainly speech can be too, because that comes from the throat vocal cords as well. So that is kind of a tie-in with Taurus, and that may mean something to somebody as I'm saying those words. Venus, which rules Taurus, represents merging, attraction. The symbol of Venus is that it aims to get folks in touch with themselves. It's associated with nurturing, very much like the moon, and so that's one of the reasons why the moon in Taurus is exalted. And an example of that would of course be parental love, which is, I guess, one of the ultimate loves that one can give to another human being. Venus freely gives out without distinctions or biases, and it also represents harmony. But remember too that Venus represents our values, and so it can be connected with, well, what do I desire? What do I value and desire? So desires can be very much mixed into this as well. I want that. So remember that as you're experiencing this eclipse. I wish you all the best. I will be back after this video with my August 2021 video, so certainly stay tuned for that, folks. As always, I'm happy to do your chart. I think this would be an awesome time to get a chart done, whether it's a transit chart or a full-on 3 different types of charts that bring together the whole picture for you. I would be happy to do that for you. Go to my website and services tab, or just contact me by email. I'm at elpisastrology@gmail.com. I love hearing from everybody, so please leave your comments. And look forward to some manifesting at this full moon eclipse in Taurus. Take care, and bye for now.